Welcome, Philly, to your favorite sports show, Babes on Broad, hosted by Jesse Town and Sam Wilson. They're smart, they're sexy, and they're all Philly. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the show. Babes on Broad.
Hello and welcome into episode number 5 of Babes on Broad Sixers pregame live. Woo! 10, 9, 8, 76ers. I'm Sam Wilson with my co-host Jesse Town, and we are the Babes on Broad, brought to you by Bleeding Green Nation and SB Nation. We want to thank everybody for tuning in right away this week. We're sorry we missed you last week. There was just so much going on. We originally planned for the Wednesday night matchup, and then that was the inauguration, so there was just all this stuff going on.
A lot of things.
But we're back. And tonight we'll be talking about the matchup with the Lakers just in 1 hour from now. So before we get into that real quick, upcoming games this week, they do have a back-to-back this weekend, which will be interesting. They have
Wait, no, that's not a back-to-back.
It's Friday and Saturday. Oh, it's Friday and Sunday.
Sam's just trying to get through the weekend faster. Sam's skipping weekend days today.
Whoa, I'm
not going to lie to you. Now. I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, that's a back-to-back. Yeah,
I read that as Saturday. And you just said it, and now I'm reading it for the 10th time and realizing it says Sunday. So not back-to-back.
Yeah, not back-to-back. But when I was thinking about their games this weekend, in my head, it was a back-to-back as well. And then I just looked at this right now and realized the Friday and Sunday are not back-to-back dates.
So we have 2 games this weekend. We'll say that, not back-to-back, which actually helps our case.
It's better.
So Friday night at 8 p.m., they take on the Timberwolves in Minnesota, and then they will be in Indiana on Sunday night at 7 p.m. So both games, very winnable. We'll see. We'll get to that later.
Yes.
For tonight's game, Mike Scott is out. Vincent, how do you say his last name?
Poirier.
I can never say it. Those names trick me up. Them and NHL.
Oh, yeah. The NHL is, I have zero confidence in myself.
I covered the Little League World Series in college. No, I could not. It was terrible for pronunciation for me.
We try very hard, I promise.
Yeah. Seth Curry is probable with an ankle soreness.
He's warming up right now, so I think everything should be good to go. They're talking about the Sixers on, I believe this is a national game as well, so the game's on ESPN. Yeah. So they're showing him warming up. He looks okay. I think he should be fine to go. I think if there was ever a game where he would push it to be good to go, it would be tonight. There was the one game against the Nets where you thought maybe he would push it, but then when they didn't, when they weren't sure if there were a couple other guys that were going to play, and then they had a couple other bigger games coming up. They had a road trip. They had a back-to-back that weekend, so it looked like they were just going to be like, you know what, all right, let's just let him rest it up. And then it ended up that he had COVID, and everything, all hell broke loose in the NBA anyway. So it looks like he's going to go. I would be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah, I agree. And then also along with that, originally LeBron was questionable with a left ankle sprain, but of course it's LeBron. I do not see that keeping him out, especially his return to since Kobe passed away. So getting into the game, Jess, what do we have in store?
Oh, I'm so excited for this game tonight. So it's a really good matchup. And you always think like anytime LeBron is anywhere, right? It's always, a fun game to watch. It's always fun to watch LeBron play your team, except for when he's absolutely demolishing your team. But it's a fun game this year because it's a good, as much as Doc Rivers kind of wanted to downplay it in his pregame presser today, it's going to be an interesting measuring stick for where this team is right now. I know that it's still a long season. One game isn't going to make or break them this early. However, the Lakers have the best record in the entire NBA right now. Obviously, the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. The Sixers have the best record in the Eastern Conference. So the Sixers are the best team in the East. Lakers are the best team in the West. Automatically makes it an interesting matchup right off the bat. Additionally, a little other interesting tidbit, the Sixers are phenomenal at home. We know that even without fans, they just love playing on their home floor. The Lakers are the best. So the Sixers are the best team at home in the NBA. The Lakers are the best road team in the NBA. So something's got to give tonight. The Sixers are also 9-0 when all 5 starters play. So this starting 5 can do some damage. They can hurt you in a lot of different ways on both ends of the floor. And, not to mention they've got the front runner for MVP, on their team. It always helps to have him on your team. So, LeBron is just,
he's always an MVP.
Always an MVP, right? Always in the MVP conversation. Joel Embiid is playing out of his mind so far this season. And it is so fun to watch.
No, it's
the mindset. I just love it.
No, and it's awesome too, because this is something that we've been talking about, and I guess it's coaching, what you want to say. It's also his endurance and all that stuff that he's built up this year.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to finally see this level of play and as consistent as it's been from him, because it's something that we've known that's been in him, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's always had to be that load management. He's always been sore. He'll be sluggish. He'll run out towards the end of games. But we don't see that this year. So it's extremely exciting, and hopefully it keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, it is helpful that there are a lot of things that play into it. I think obviously after last season, and he mentioned after he didn't make an all NBA team, he realized that he really did have a down year, and he realized that something needed to be done about it. So you add that with the new coach, with the roster's better than it was last year. I mean, there's no question about it. And there's a lot of different things that go into it. And I think one of those things is just the fact that Tobias Harris is getting a little bit more comfortable again. He scored more than 17 points in the last 12 consecutive games. He's starting to feel comfortable, and he can be counted on for crucial buckets. So while Joel can take over a game at any point in time, and is taking over games in the fourth quarter and doing whatever the Sixers need, having another guy that can hit shots and create his own shot like Tobias Harris is a huge piece for the Sixers this year, because that's not something they had last year. And having another kind of guaranteed bucket or someone you can rely on for that is absolutely huge.
No, 100% that would go towards Joel. There is obviously that little concern there about the team when Joel is not able to play. Mm-hmm. So that's always concerning. It's still early. So, I mean, even though we call it concerning, it might be better now, like we've said before, having the young guys have to step up and just kind of seeing how this team, or getting this team used to playing together without Joel in the system.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, I absolutely agree, but I also think that it's a little bit different this year, and you can definitely tell this year that it's a little bit different in the sense of he never played the second night of a back-to-back last season, or actually last season ever. This is the first season we're actually seeing him consistently play on second nights of back-to-backs. Obviously there are times when, he's a large body, his back's going to get tight.
Well, yeah.
Things like that are going to happen. And here and there, I don't have a problem with him trying to do that, and him, every now and then missing a game, but having him on the second nights of back-to-backs, putting up these numbers still, it makes a world of difference. So it's not like the Sixers are missing Joel Embiid every third game,
100%,
or every fourth game.
It's not just a given.
So that's huge. And I think that, this is an interesting, question here as well. Why does it Shake Milton start? They don't need Shake to start. They need his points coming off the bench. So I think that the team has a lot of different interesting pieces. And I think all of that's really helping build Joel Embiid up. Not having someone that you can rely on as specifically as Joel Embiid when Joel's not playing, I think that does get concerning at times, but they also should have enough talent where it shouldn't trip them up completely and just be a guaranteed L.
No, I agree with that 100%. But the only thing I feel like we also are forgetting kind of is this is a completely new roster. It's still early with a completely new head coach. So they kind of have to figure that. And when Joel's not in there, you can't rely on that talent, as you said, to just kind of mesh everything together and make something work even when they're having an off night. So that's why we could also be seeing that too. And that's why it's not as concerning as some people I feel like are trying to make it out to be.
Yeah, and I think that one of the obvious conversations that is being had, and I think it's a valid conversation to have, is Ben Simmons has been disappointing and underwhelming offensively in terms of scoring so far this season. Now, I will say I still don't think he's given enough credit where credit is due in terms of all the other things that he does. I think that it's I understand that his numbers are a little bit down this year, but I think when you consider Joel Embiid playing at the level that he is, having a guy like Seth Curry in your starting lineup, having a guy who can hit buckets like Danny Green in your starting lineup, Tobias Harris playing the way that he is, and then when you get to that second unit, Shake Milton, who is an early contender for Sixth Man of the Year, that's something that obviously Ben Simmons, his numbers are going to be down slightly. What's frustrating is that his turnovers have been high. They're decreasing, which is great. But a lot of the other things that he does so well, getting those crucial rebounds, the defense is still being played at an elite level, holding guys to way below their averages for the season, as well as frustrating them offensively. And then the assists are there, obviously, as well as he showed you what he can do. The free throw percentage is
going, exactly.
Again, the fourth quarter against the Celtics, he was responsible for scoring or assisting on 19 out of their 31 points in that quarter. Aggressive Ben is the best Ben, and I want to see it from him all the time, but you also see what that sometimes does get you you saw it in the game the other night. He only played 7 minutes in the first half because he got in foul trouble so quickly. It's a slippery slope. Like, we need him to be aggressive on both ends of the floor. But if he's always going to get, the short end of the stick and never get the benefit of the doubt on some of those offensive fouls that he racks up, I mean, you need him on the floor. So it's a very difficult kind of balance. He has not been good enough in terms of scoring. That's obvious.
Yeah.
Anybody can say it, but I still don't think he gets enough credit for doing all of these other things that are so apparent that's missing when he's not on the floor.
I agree. And just to go along with that, like with all the harsh, critics that he has coming at him, I don't understand it. I understand it from the scoring and he's letting it down. But as you said, as a whole, and with all the testaments he has going his way from former players and current players, LeBron saying how good he is and how great he's going to be. And it just shows that he's not even tapped into it yet. And as far as scoring, to me, it's still, obviously he needs to be trying to improve in that area and everything. But it's not as crucial to me right at this moment, factoring that Doc Rivers hasn't even been there for a full year yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not, to me, it's silly to expect him to just come out playing and shooting far more than what we're used to seeing this early with a new head coach.
Right. And also it's stupid things and I just think people look for reasons to have an issue. Like the other night when he said, I don't go on Twitter, I don't go on Instagram, I don't see these things. And that night he posted a picture from their game and people were like, oh, so it's cool to lie now? And it's like, okay, reading all the BS and stupid things that Joe Schmo living in his mom's basement is tweeting at him is different than posting a picture from a really good team win. And supporting the photography of one of his friends who is who takes the photos on the court. The ability to not separate those things drives me certifiably insane. You are just looking for something to complain about.
Yeah, 100%, because it's 2021. You have to have some kind of social media presence, which means that you post and you get people to interact with you and grow your brand in that aspect. Doesn't mean that you have to sit there and scroll on your social medias. And that's what he meant by it.
Because here's the thing. If he did, what's everyone talking about? The whole argument to this point is, oh, it's okay if he misses. We just want him to take the shots. We just want him to shoot. But what's happening? He's taken a 3 every other game, and they're not looking great. All right. Like, he's not good at shooting 3-pointers. That's why he doesn't shoot them. They're not looking great. So what's happening? He's being clowned all over the place, but it's like, hey, maybe that's why he didn't shoot him in the first place.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and
Jesus.
You've already said with the improvements they've made this year, he shouldn't, like, if he's taking time away to try to improve his game, which, yes, there's time and place for that. When you're playing your not as good teams and you're up by a lot. Yeah, that's when you do that and you take, you know what I mean? But in other opportunities like tonight's game, I don't want him out there trying to improve his game. I want him out there with his team playing his part to get a team win. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. And people, I mean, obviously they want the win, the fans do, but they look at it, like you said, they just want to critique something all the time.
Right.
And it's
even
not there
when
yet.
they do win. Even when they do win, and even when he's in, I don't even know whose bag he was in the other night against the Celtics in the fourth quarter, because I've never seen some of those moves finishing at the rim from him before. I've never seen some of those. And all of a sudden he pulled them out, and I'm like, I mean, like, thrilled, but where has this been all game? I need him to play like that all the time. And I don't think anybody would complain. And I think this is, a really good point. Like, we're fine with what he does most nights because he's filling out the stat sheet, doing all of those things that you need him to do, not being able to step up a little bit more when Joel Embiid isn't playing. And I think the other night he tried to, but again, racked up early fouls.
The foul. Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it was like, what do? You know what I mean? Like, you can't let Ben Simmons foul out in the first half.
Exactly.
But also playing the way he plays, there are going to be times when he fouls out. That's not a bad thing. Like, it happens. It's unfortunate. But with that being said, I mean, like, he is my key to the game tonight. Like, he is, Joel Embiid's going to do his thing.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, there's no one in the NBA that can truly, truly, truly guard Joel Embiid. It'll be interesting to see Anthony Davis try. We'll see. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what Joel Embiid does with that. Tobias Harris getting comfortable. He's going to do his thing. The keys for me tonight are Seth Curry hitting shots when he needs to, and Ben Simmons be at the best level that he has yet to be at this season. He plays LeBron James very well.
Yeah, he does.
He plays against LeBron very well. Maybe he's comfortable playing against LeBron. I don't know what it is. I need the best game of Ben Simmons' season tonight. That is my key for them to win. What about you?
No, I'm very similar to that. I mean, I expect Joel to go off just because he sat their last game on Monday. But then he lives up to these games, these primetime games against LeBron and Anthony Davis, where we already said it, LeBron's always in the MVP talks, and he wants to prove that. This is his chance on this floor to prove that this team is so much better with him in there, and then also side by side with another MVP candidate. I think that he's going to seize that, and I think he's going to have a great night. I also expect Tobias to kind of live up to that and play a big part in tonight. But then, Ben is also one of my huge keys to this game, just because even though that LeBron was questionable with that ankle soreness, I think LeBron is going to come out here. I mean, this is the first night that he's been in Philly since Kobe passed, and since he passed Kobe right before the accident happened on the all-time all-scorers list. So I'm expecting LeBron to come out and just kind of want to, like, put on a show in Kobe's hometown again. So this is going to be a key night for Ben to contain that.
Yeah. And I think it'll be interesting. I mean, the key matchup tonight is, LeBron and AD and versus Ben and Joel. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a fun matchup, and I hope it's a good game, and I hope nothing crazy happens, and it's just a really good game to the end. And I hope that they play this team well, and I think it's going to be a very good, I think it is going to be a really interesting measuring stick or indicator of what this team is kind of capable of doing.
Yeah, this is one of their first playoff kind of environments tonight. They're facing off the best in the league right now and the former NBA champs. So this is their first real test of the season. Yeah. So with that being said, what's your prediction for the score tonight?
I think it's going to be, obviously, I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go 114-110. What about you?
Who?
Oh, the Sixers, obviously. Oh, please, come on.
Sorry. Well, the Sixers are the underdogs tonight. obviously, because they're going against LeBron and the record. But I also say the Sixers, I think it's going to be a little higher score than you say, just because of the fact that there's so much energy and passion going into this game, and it's a primetime game, so I expect a lot of scoring on both sides. So I'm going to say 121 to 119 Sixers. I still think it's going to be very close.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The Sixers are the underdogs. I think the line's like 3.5. I want to say.
I think it was when I checked it earlier. It was 3.5. Or
yeah. The last time I checked, it was 3.5. So I don't know if it's changed, but the last time I checked, it was 3.5.
That was early today.
Yeah. So then, other games this weekend. So this kicks off a really good weekend of Sixers basketball. We hope, at least. D'Angelo Russell, he always gives the Sixers a problem. People like to say he's the one who got away. I'm really quite content with him not being around. But I don't know if Karl-Anthony Towns will be back from. He tested positive for COVID. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long ago. It feels like it was.
Yeah, it feels like forever ago, but I don't know.
So I think that will be if he can go up against Joel Embiid, that'll be a good matchup as well. And then Sunday at the Pacers. So the Pacers always play the Sixers well, but obviously they traded Victor Oladipo, so he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, Karis LeVert just had successful surgery to remove that tumor that was on his kidney. Wishing him a speedy recovery there. He's supposed to make a full recovery, be fine, which is, excellent news. And then Domantas Sabonis has been playing out of his freaking mind, but he has a bone bruise on his knee now. And I can't remember if I saw week to week or day to day on that. So we'll see. And he's given the Sixers problems in the past. Miles Turner might be the only player in the NBA one of the only players that could give Joel Embiid a problem, because he's leading the NBA in blocks. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see on Sunday night. But I still think they can go 2-0 through the weekend.
I want them to go 2-0, and I think definitely on paper, if they play how they're supposed to play and how they usually do, I think they would go 2-0. But I don't know. I might, just my vibes telling me right now as we're talking about it, I might say 1-1.
Which one do you think they have the higher chance of losing?
It's tough because there's so many ifs for both teams. I might go Timberwolves. No. I'm going to go Pacers. Their chance of losing.
This is true. The last time Karl-Anthony Towns played, they fought, and Ben Simmons had to put him in a headlock. That is a real thing that happened. After Joel, who poked who in the eye? Who had their thumb in the other one's eye? I don't remember.
I think it was Karl-Anthony Towns that got poked in the eye.
That was
something. I'm pretty sure.
That was something. Yeah, I don't remember. It was just silly. It was silly. And all Joel Embiid had to do was not take to Instagram after, and he would have been fine. I don't think he would have gotten suspended if he didn't take to Instagram after.
But that's why we love him.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got another score prediction here. 112-107 Sixers. I like it. This is absolutely true. Prime time kind of basketball. I think that's going to be a really good game. I wish it was like a Friday night game. It's Wednesday, but that's fine. I think this is a good point as well. Ben's an old school kind of player, and you can't play like he does with these powder puff calls. I think that's absolutely true. Some of these fouls are super, super, super soft. Here's another. Before we move into our prop bets, let's just address this one really quick. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, obviously, Bradley Beal's a great player, and he would get us huge points, and he would fit. But I'm not ready to give up on Simmons. As we said, I mean, there's so many superstars that are in the league now and have been in the league, former superstars, I should say. And they're testaments towards Ben after seeing him and all the potential that they see in him and truly believe he's going to reach. I'm not willing to let that go yet. Especially at his age.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that Giannis has been back-to-back MVP, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Giannis still can't shoot. But he's willing to at this point, and he can take over a game, and that's the difference. And I think that Ben has the potential to be that Giannis type of player, but I think he can also be better because I think he is much better defensively because Giannis is not nearly as mobile as Ben is. And I think one of the biggest criticisms of Giannis right now is, he's reigning defensive player of the year and he's guarding the, fourth or fifth option on opposing teams, but that's because they mainly use him as a shot blocker. Ben Simmons can guard 1 through 5 seamlessly and not fall off in any aspect of that. I just think that based on these last couple of years and the amount of talent that they have and the way that Joel and Ben are working so well together and figuring that out because they're running things that are more beneficial to both of their skill sets. I just think that they deserve an entire season together with a guy like Doc Rivers and a legitimate roster built around them. I think if Ben doesn't, so he started to pick up the pace a little bit these last couple games, right?
Yeah.
If he continues to do that throughout the season, I don't think there's any reason that they should look to trade him. If he doesn't pick up his scoring a little bit or improve a little bit in some other areas and help them get to places they need to go, I think that in the offseason, the conversation can be had. But I think right now I think without a whole season of the two of them together with a legitimate coach and with a legitimate roster, the what ifs are way too big for a 24-year-old.
I agree.
And again, I understand, I agree. Like Bradley Beal's great. And someone needs to get him out of DC.
Help the man now.
Get the man out of DC. Like he is going through it right now and it hurts my heart. But I'm more willing to have the conversation about Bradley Beal than I was about James Harden.
Oh, but yeah, for sure.
I still don't think it's the right time. And I don't disagree with this. Ben, I don't think he can't. I think that Giannis gets the benefit of the doubt in some of those offensive calls, offensive versus defensive fouls. Ben Simmons does not get the benefit of the doubt in some of those calls. And I think it's partially because, I understand that Giannis might be a little bit taller than Ben, but Ben's got more mass to him. And if he just lowers his shoulder a little bit too much,
you already said it. He's got mobility over the Greek Freak. So that kind of makes him look more of the predator, you know what I mean? And causing the foul.
I think that Ben's ceiling is higher than Giannis I don't want to say he's at his ceiling, but being consistent in where he is, that's what makes him great. Ben Simmons, he needs to be more consistent. He's not consistent enough at this point.
Yeah.
And listen, I think that every gripe with Ben is valid. Every criticism of Ben Simmons is valid. I just think that he doesn't get enough credit where he deserves it because it's not where people want to give him credit and want to address that he's improved or does things so well. But because it's not where they want him to improve, they don't want to give him the credit for it. So I just think that he doesn't get enough credit for doing what he does. And
yeah, I agree with that.
Being as productive on the floor without having to score. There are times when, he's not even looking at the rim. And I'm like, what are you doing? Every issue is I get it. It's not wrong. I just think that he's not given enough credit. And if they were to trade him right now, I think that would be one of those things that the what ifs are huge and it would haunt this franchise a little bit.
It's like a stock and you bought in low and you're waiting for it to rise and it's not rising and you're not profiting as much as you wanted to fast, but you'll regret it when you sell it for whatever price and not the
Ben Simmons is the GameStop stock. Did you see all that today? Ben Simmons is GameStop. Okay.
Yeah, those dang Reddit traders.
So just let it happen. All right. Let's get into some prop bets before we wrap up the show tonight. So if you're new, welcome at, a half hour in, but jump in, tell us what you think. We'll read them all and we'll talk about them. So who has the more dominant performance tonight? LeBron and AD or Ben and Joel?
I mean, it's going to be good. I think both pairs and duos are going to have a great night. But I think in order to get the win, it has to be Joel and Ben, obviously.
I agree.
Whoever outperforms the other is going to get the win.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think whichever one, I mean, the no brainer, whichever one does, whichever pair has a better performance, that team is going to win.
Exactly.
I think that's pretty okay. LeBron, but think the Sixers win. All right, defying the rule of how.
I mean, he did break the record the last time he was in Philly. Had a great night, 29 points and whatever, and he still lost.
That's true.
They did. The other night they lost to the Cavs, right? Did they? I think they lost to.
I think they won.
Maybe it was, but it wasn't as high scoring. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. But still, he had like 46 points, and the next top scorer was AD with like 17, and then it was like 9. Like,
well, it was. I mean, like, okay, well, the Cavs did that to themselves because one of their executives decided that they were gonna like get overhype about LeBron missing a buzzer beater at the third quarter. Do you not know? Like, what are you doing? He was there for how many years? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Don't give the man extra oomph.
It's silly. It's silly. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why they did that. We got some more. Ben and JoJo. I think Ben has a big game. See, Mark, you know I like you, Mark. Of course I'm gonna say Ben and JoJo. Yes, I concur. All right. Does Ben Simmons have his usual kind of performance against LeBron tonight? Obviously, I think we got this answer. Do you think Ben has a good, like, maybe a rebound shy of a triple-double kind of night, like a 25-point triple-double, add some steals, add some blocks? Is he going to have one of those nights and just really frustrate them?
Yeah, I'm fully expecting that. Just because of the criticisms that we've been talking about, I think this is his perfect shot for redemption at it, or like redeeming himself. Yeah, so redemption. And he always plays LeBron well, and he always does well in prime time. I think I'm feeling a big night for him.
That would make my heart so happy. I don't think you understand how great that would be so lovely. They
have to, I mean, if they lose that home stretch that they have, the win streak at home, I don't want to risk that. So he needs to step up. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say.
He does. All right. Here's an actual line I think it would be good, not great. But I'd love to be wrong. I would love for you to be wrong too, Chris.
Yep.
A little better tonight. 5.7 is, yeah. Okay. Bye. All right. So this is an actual line that I just stole from DraftKings. Shake Milton over under 11.5 points tonight.
It's a good line or number, whatever they call it. I'll say over.
Over?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, like a 12 or 13, though. Not much over, because they're usually not far off.
Yeah, I think if he's going to be sixth man of the year, he's got to step up against these big teams. Right? We got one over here that says, I say 16 plus. I under the matchup's bad. Okay. Chocolate shake way over. Love it. Yes, please. Over. Why not? I mean, this is the same guy that made Paul George scream for help. I mean,
there we go.
Why not? Over, he'll need to carry the second team. I agree. I think if they are going to, the scoring on the second unit is still not good enough. Now, I will say, I think they should play Tyrese Maxey way more and stop playing Furkan Korkmaz as much. He's useless.
I wonder what they see in him. Because Brett liked him, Doc likes it. Like,
no.
I don't know. Like, maybe he's a practice player. I don't know.
But like, he hits that one shot every now and then, right? But also, like, he does like four like bonehead things up and down the floor, and then hits some like ridiculous shot that should never ever. He'll like airball a floater and then commit a foul, and then he'll step out of bounds and then commit another foul, but then he'll hit some outrageous shot that has no business going in. And it's infuriating to watch him play. And I would much rather watch Tyrese Maxey figure it out and get some more minutes in there and really get comfortable. It's my opinion.
We'll see.
We got one up here that says, I think Ben's good for 15 to 20 plus 10 and 10. Sign me up. Sign me up. All right. Over under 30 for Joel Embiid tonight.
It's going to be close to it, but I'll say over. A tad over.
I'm going over because I think he's going to live at the line. I'm going over.
I like it.
I think he's going to absolutely live on the line, and he's going to shoot like 20 free throws tonight. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Who's the star of the game for you on offense?
I already said it. Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid, 100%.
Yeah.
We've got a push over here. This is an interesting one. Marc Gasol is with the Lakers now, and he has been one of those who really, really frustrates Joel. But Joel's a different player these days. He's different. He's different. He's not the Joel Embiid that played the Raptors 2 years ago. No. It's not that Joel Embiid. Star of the game on defense.
It has to be Ben.
Has to be.
Follows our storyline anyway. We'd contradict ourselves.
Yeah, we can't do it. We can't contradict ourselves. We can't do it at all. All right. That wraps up our pregame live episode for tonight. So thank you for tuning in to our, episode 5 of Sixers pregame live, I believe. Make sure to keep an eye out for our next episode of Babes on Broad. We recorded today, and then the Eagles decided to make a bunch of hires at like an hour after we did so. So I have to go in and re-edit that.
It's so frustrating. That's why we held off recording until today.
Yeah. So we held off recording, so all the coaches didn't go left and right. We're like, all right. It looks like a good time. And then they hired a quarterback coach. When I tell you not 50 minutes after we finish recording, 50 minutes after we finish recording. But also keep an eye on our social medias to pick our pregame show for next week. I haven't looked at them yet, so I don't know if there's like one obvious choice. But this is funny. This is funny. This is funny. But we will check. We'll put it up on our social media. Be sure to keep your eye out for all that. But in the meantime, go Sixers. Let's beat the Lakers. Because we've got the MVP, Joel Embiid. They're going to absolutely beat the Lakers. We will talk to you later this week.